there is, in my mind, no better way to raise the vibration than with prayers of gratitude. It can be challenging to lean fully in to a practice of gratitude because we are often so busy, right? Physically busy, running around, doing one thing, doing another. We often fall into this, right? All the lists of things to do, or then the things that weren't even on the list and we still do them, that keep us from present moment, that keep us from fully just being present with what is right here, right now. The other thing that happens, again, I'll call myself out here, is that sometimes I say, I'm going to create present moment space, right? I'm going to perhaps take some time for meditation, or I'm going to simply journal for a little while, write in my journal for a bit. And I'll sit down to do that. And my mind is still so busy, like I'm journaling for, just my morning journal or something. And I'm still writing out like a to-do list. It's like my mind is constantly wanting to do. And it can be hard for me anyways, to really sink into presence, not thinking about, something that happened and mulling that over in my mind over and over, or thinking about the things to do and thinking about future stuff. The worries come in, the anxieties come in. So it can be tricky to be present. Does anybody else have this issue ever? I'm at least seeing some head nods and a couple of handshakes. Okay, so it's not just me having this human experience of finding it a little bit challenging to sink into presence, sink into the present moment. And for me, one of the tools that has been the biggest gift in my life has been art journaling, because it gives me that space to really rest. And even if I start off journaling and writing a to-do list, if I give myself, an hour chunk of time, by the end of that hour, I have come center. Even if it's the last 5 minutes, right? Like for 5 minutes, I was present. I dump all the other stuff out, let the emotions just pour forward, let whatever needs to come forward onto the page, have a place to rest, and then I can be fully present. So today I'm going to be sharing, as I shared earlier, the idea of a radial design. So a simple design pattern that can help to presence, help to bring your mind into the present moment. And when we do that, when we slow down enough, then we can invite in that space for gratitude. Invite in, where are the blessings in our lives? And simply be present to the gratitude of the moment. The gratitude, that recognition of, I'm just here. There is nothing more I need to do. Nothing I need to focus on other than what is right in front of me. And so today I'm inviting you just to practice presence and gratitude for this moment, for this opportunity to be still. And as we do that, as we start opening up to gratitude, of course, we'll notice it in other areas and aspects of our lives as well. I'm going to share this quote from Brené Brown with you. Perhaps you're familiar with it. She said, "I don't have to chase extraordinary moments to find happiness. It's right in front of me if I'm paying attention and practicing gratitude. Don't have to chase extraordinary moments to find happiness. It's right in front of me if I'm paying attention and practicing gratitude." And so today we'll lean in to pay attention to the present moment, to still that busy mind, that busy body that's always wanting to go, and simply be still, be present, and practice gratitude, and see if that feeling of happiness, that feeling of joy, that feeling of peace is to be found in that space. So again, in my peekaboo page, you saw the radial pattern that I showed there. I've started a second one to share with you here today. And radial pattern is simply a fancy sounding word for organizing visual material around a central point. So you have some sort of central focus, and often it becomes symmetrical with balance of parts. Now, I want to point out that symmetrical doesn't need to mean perfection. I brought Brené Brown in today, and so I want to also point out that she is a big fan of the gifts of imperfection, right? That's one of her book titles. And it's about the process. It's about being present to something. You will see, even though there's a spiral, there's points that are coming out, they are not all the same size. They're not all, measured perfectly. But again, it's about the process. When we engage in something that has repetition, such as this pattern does, then it helps us to still the mind, because we're doing something that's the mind goes, oh, hey, this is easy, and as we're repeating the same thing, then we begin to drop further and further into that still point. So for your radial pattern, if you choose to do this, again, do whatever helps you to center into the present moment. This is one activity, one way of approaching this. But if you come and you have a, drawing of the sun or whatever helps you to focus, whatever you share at the end, we welcome and embrace. But what I did here was I started out with my permanent marker. I did the spiral here in the center, and then you can see I just started doing points out. So just having a center point, something to start us off with. And if I were to continue these, I'm just making points that like little triangles sort of shape that come between the two lines before it. You can see that. Now you could do this with petals, you could do this with circles, anything that kind of radiates out gets bigger and bigger. And it's just about repeating the same form, repeating it on there. Now the reason why I intentionally used, I always love making up my own words, why I was intentionally using permanent markers, because we're going to be doing a water-based wash over this. Get a couple more in there so I can add on this. So this lovely color that's in here, bring it up closer so you can see some of the details, was done using these Crayola style markers. So they're water-based markers, meaning, they don't have any sort of oil. They're not meant to be permanent. And all I did was added some drawing in different designs here, right? You can see I have the purple here was sort of like this kind of line between. I had some that were thicker, so using the side of the marker to get a thick line. And you can play around with that, see what types of patterns you can make. And then I also did some designs just coming in between, using the wide end again, and just sort of scribble drawing in there. So that's, there we go. That's what this looked like beforehand. It was just sort of some scribbly loose lines. But when I add water, just water, to them, it starts to bleed and blend those colors together. Now, if you're wanting to keep your colors a little bit more separate, you could do like all your greens, because it's going to bleed out from that, and then rinse your brush and come in and do your blues. By nature, the darker color is going to be more dominant. So if I already have blue on my brush and then I go over the green, which is a little bit lighter, I might just make the whole thing blue. So if you're trying to intentionally keep some colors, rinse your brush a little bit in between. But the point is that it will act and react sort of like watercolors, but giving you some different patterns. And again, if you have watercolor paints, you could do something similar with this. The point is just you're not trying to fill in the design, right? That's a little bit different if we create the pattern and then you're just using your watercolor to fill in the design. This type of pattern, we're looking at just watching what happens, right? Sort of exploring with the paint and letting that be part of our meditation process to sink us into the present moment. Filling in the designs can also do that, right? Anybody that's ever done like those adult coloring books, you know, as you're filling in the tiny little details, that can also help to center you. So that's another process. This is just something different I'm showing you today if you want to experiment with it. So radial design to center in, and as you find that your mind is beginning to still, beginning to rest, you might intentionally call in the awareness of gratitude, just bringing in gratitude for this moment and see how that feels. And if your mind is so tuned into the process itself, it forgets about gratitude, that's okay too, because following the activity, you can simply take a moment to just say, thank you for this experience. Right? We're still bringing gratitude into it by remembering to give thanks for that blessing of this time to simply rest on the page. And what we're going to do now is move into a short period of meditation to help us just sink in, we've got all these ideas now in our minds. So we even just want to kind of let those ideas simmer, to percolate, and just sink in, just slow our breathing, just get ourselves present. So I invite you where you are to become comfortable, either in your chair, on your bed, on your floor, wherever you may be. If it's comfortable to you to close your outer eyes, or perhaps you'd like to leave your eyes open and find something to visually focus on in your room. Find a central point. Now I invite you to bring awareness to the breath, not trying to control or change, simply noticing the inhale, noticing the exhale. We let the breath presence us. We let the breath be a focal point. You may wish to add a thought to the breath, such as breathing in, I breathe in gratitude. Exhaling, I release. Whatever words might come to you in this moment, breathe them in, exhale them out. And we'll continue this process now for a moment of silence. And on the next breath, we begin to bring our awareness back to this moment. We flutter our eyes open. We say thank you. Thank you, Spirit, for this moment of peace, for this moment to tune in to the rhythm of our own heart, our own breath. And now we extend this opportunity to be present into our journal pages as we create and explore gratitude in this moment. And so it is. So here's where my page ended up today, and I can't wait to see how yours unfolds for you. Have a blessed week, and we look forward to sharing Creative Spirit Gathering with you again next week. Bye-bye.